Everyone. Hope you guys are all doing well. Sorry this lesson took a little bit longer to get up. My internet was completely down yesterday for most of the day, and oh, what a joy it was to try to fix it when you don't have access to it in the first place. So, anyway, here now. So, I'll give you a good morning, class. Hope you guys are all doing well. And we'll begin with 3, 2, 1. And I am about to teach you, salute you back, strength and honor. All right, so what you're looking at is the paper you're going to use to take notes on the next lesson, which is on Renaissance and medieval art. I suppose you could print it out if you have access. If you don't have a printer, you can just go ahead and copy it on a piece of paper. I uploaded this to you guys yesterday, so you should have it. And you're just going to follow along through the lesson. Should be fairly simple. These bullet points are the major points and the characteristics you'll fill in. I hope you enjoy the lesson. I like this lesson. It's fun. And it's one of my faves. And even though we can't be together, I think it'll be cool. And also on another note, I had some kids ask if I wanted to do a Zoom meeting. The next attendance survey I send out, I want to have a question on there. What time is good for you guys to do it? And I'm not talking we're going to do it every day, but we only have a few more weeks left, and it'd be nice to be able to see some of you and say hello, interact, and about how things have been going. So let me know a good time, and I'll try to figure out how to do all that stuff, and maybe we'll do that, or maybe even a YouTube live. We'll see. So, without further ado, let's get this show on the road. So, I'm sure you can see that. Hey, I'm making it. My son, Renaissance art celebrated the beauty of the human form. They'll get over it. And you'll see why it says that in a moment. It's not what you think. So we're going to learn about the Renaissance and art. Okay? So your EQ is what was medieval art and what was Renaissance art, and how did it affect society? Because it affected it greatly. All right. Medieval art. Art of the Middle Ages. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're learning about. Okay, this is one of the very famous picture. It's supposed to be God with the angels, and it's supposed to be Adam. And there's a divide, because there's a divide between the divine and the human. And in Christianity, Jesus bridged that divide. So that's the whole methodology behind these things. So let's continue. The medieval period has lasted from 500 to 1300 AD. So we learned this. We learned that's how long the medieval period was. And we learned all the items related to that. So I'm not going to belabor the point. The purpose of most medieval art was to teach religion to people who could not read or write. No one at this time, at least the majority of people, were literate to be able to read these things and know these things. So art was used to make it visual, much like how I do my lessons with a lot of visuals. Art was used the same way. So you may not be able to read what the Bible says, but you could definitely see what it's teaching. Okay? Perfect. So, medieval artists created stained glass windows. I remember in 7th grade, my art class, we had to make stained glass windows. And let me tell you, man, it was not an easy task to do. I tried. I think I did like a rectangle. And the way you do it is interesting. You have to actually do it in certain stages. So if you ever get the chance to go to an art place where they let you do different art things, check out doing the stained glass. It is pretty fun. That was one of the big things during the medieval time, was the art, was stained glass windows. Another thing they used was illuminated manuscripts. And I went to the Getty many years ago, and they had a whole exhibit of medieval manuscripts, and it was amazing to see just what people produced. It's quite remarkable. And if you ever get a chance to go to the Getty, definitely try to look at the manuscripts. Usually there's a section where they have some still. Should be fun. Okay, I forgot. In class, this is always a fun time because kids always comment on why do these pictures look the way they do. Well, no one, it's interesting. But here you got, Mary and Jesus, and the really long fingers and such. It wasn't meant to be accurate. It was trying to portray an idea. Okay, so paintings. That was most of the art was paintings. Okay, so we're gonna see a lot of these in this lesson. So, tapestries. Heavy fabric used for wall hangings. Castles and places in this time were stone. So how do you bring warmth and color to like a stone background? You use tapestries. I'm using that accent because of a movie where one of the main characters, I've come here to look for tapestries. So there you go. Heavy fabric used for wall hangings. Carpet. Anyway. Okay. What were the characteristics of medieval art? On your worksheet, it should show you the little characteristics part. So you're going to list those right there. Okay? What were the characteristics of medieval art? So here you have a depiction of the crucifixion. Now, one of the reasons why we learn things in stages is that when you see things like this, you should already have it in your mind what the history behind the items you're looking at. So we've studied Christianity. We've studied Christianity development in Rome. We've studied the role of the Catholic Church in medieval times. So this should not be a foreign idea to you. But here you have Christ crucified, various people looking on. This represents, halos are like God's special presence on the people. So that's why you notice in medieval art, you always see this. It's very flat. Okay? Most art was religious, showing Jesus, saints, or people from the Bible. No one really did any other kind of art during medieval times. It was basically representing Christianity. So you're going to see that all the time. Anytime you see a work, 95% of the times during medieval times, it's going to look very flat, very like this. Okay? Or important people were shown larger than others around them. So here you have, I believe, King David, and he's huge, right? Everyone else is a little bit smaller. He's playing his harp. If you know the story, you know where this is from. But yeah, the religious people are usually bigger than everybody else. So they're, in other words, trying to make it show the importance. Okay. And we also have figures look stiff with little sense of movement. It doesn't look very much realistic. It's just they're just kind of there. No three-dimensionality at all. Okay. Don't you love these hairstyles? I always thought this was very interesting. But anyway. Figures are fully dressed in stiff-looking clothing. Right? It doesn't seem to be any kind of realism. I don't know what was going on during the Middle Ages as far as how people dressed. We've talked about this in class, some of the things that make us laugh in history. This is one of them. I mean, you look at our style of dress, and yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Again, very flat looking. Mary has a very serious look. Jesus, there's that halo again. You kind of see it right here. Okay. Faces were serious and showed little feeling. I get my head on myself again. I've noticed that when I do lessons, I always know what I'm going to say, and I have written down, but I always say it before you see what's written. It's because I remember all these things. So, but here you have another depiction. Okay. Yeah, this is the one in class. Kids always like, what is up with that hair? Why is Mary doing West Side with her fingers? And look at these fingers. You go to school and you study art history, and you do your history and medieval art. Some of it's you're gonna laugh. There's just no way of looking at it other than seriously. I mean, the frown. Yo, what's up? I mean, but many years ago, I had a student that kind of resembled this, and so when I showed this on the screen, it was like, oh my gosh, look who it is, and everyone laughed. Obviously, not to make fun of kids or anything, but it's interesting how people resemble things in history. It's just totally fascinating. So painted figures were two-dimensional or flat, cartoonish. What kind of cartoon that would be? Oh, and everyone says Jesus is holding a crayon. I don't know, is he? It's a red one, too. So, what is it? Maybe you'll be the one to discover what it is. Okay? That is not me. He's supposed to be Paul the Apostle, perhaps, maybe. Probably Elijah or something. Backgrounds are mostly color gold. Right? Gold. The wise Jedi had the beard, see? Okay, we got something going on. Pretty cool. All right, now we're going to switch to Renaissance art. What was Renaissance art like? Okay? So, Renaissance lasted from the 1300s to the early 1600s. Okay? So, that's the period of time we're learning about now. Okay? Purpose of most Renaissance art was to show the importance of people and nature, not just religion. So now the focus has shifted from teaching people about religion to let's focus on people. Let's focus on what they do, what they look like. And that's the transition in history where the individual becomes important. In next week's lesson, we're going to get all into our rights, our freedoms, and why things are what they are. Okay? So, Renaissance artists created, this is just beautiful, sculptures, okay? And you don't see sculptures before Renaissance art. I mean, you saw it in the Roman times, but during the Middle Ages, it's not quite this way. Okay, obviously this is Mary again. But you notice there's a little more detail, a little more emphasis put on certain things. Murals. Excuse me, it's not just paintings anymore, but murals. Now, if you're like me, grew up in the LA area, there's a lot of murals, okay? And some of them are very beautiful, a lot of talented people, although maybe they should get permission before they paint on the side of a wall, but I digress, okay? Sometimes it is authorized and it looks really good. Oh, wall paintings. A little drink of water here. Drawings. Now, for those of you, and you know who you are, who love to draw and doodle, here you go. And I hope that a lot of you who do that during this time you've been home, you've taken that opportunity to draw and reflect and think about those things. Okay? So, drawings. Yes, I know, Princess Leia. Okay. Of course, the irony is I have my Princess Leia cup I'm drinking water from. So, now look at this. You got color, vibrancy, you have perspective, you have a background. Okay. A little more emotions. Okay, Mary looks younger. She's not stoic. Okay, these are characteristics of Renaissance art. Okay. So, there, I got ahead of myself again. What are the characteristics of Renaissance art? Let's go through that. This is probably one of the coolest paintings. I would love to see this in person. I don't remember where it actually is, but simple husband and wife. You got the little doggy, the detail, the ripples in the dress. Obviously, she's gonna have a baby, and then you see things in the background, which I will focus on. What's remarkable about this painting. Artists showed religious and non-religious scenes. Obviously, this is not a religious scene. This is just a man and a woman, husband and wife, preparing for life. Okay? But notice, here's the painting in the background. And in the painting, the person painted a reflection of the two people looking. And then the mirror has the stages of the cross, which if you're Catholic, you understand what those are. But amazing, look at that. The person cared enough to not just paint a basic scene, but to be focused too. Just incredible. Okay? Figures were lifelike, three-dimensional, and showed an understanding of the human form. Okay? So it's not just flat anymore. There's emotion. Right? She's got a sword. Someone's coming in. Candlelight. You can see the shadows and the fingers. It's realistic. Okay? It's not just flat anymore. Bodies looked active and showed movement. This is where you see a lot of the statues that depict people running, moving, muscles, flexed. Okay? And scenes showed real people doing real things. Everyone's eating. Although nowadays you wouldn't be eating with this many people together. This time is going to be so much fun to teach from. So many stories, so many illustrations I already have. But yeah, interesting. Everyone's all together eating, enjoying food. Whether these are cakes or milk, or we've been trying to figure that out for years. All right. Figures were either nude or clothed, and obviously I'm not going to show that. However, if you look at Renaissance art, that seems to be the case. But we'll talk about that next time. All right. Art showed an interest in nature. A gentleman chopping a tree, a donkey. Hey, don't you talk about me. Backgrounds. Okay. So. And perspective. Backgrounds showed perspective or depth. It looks three-dimensional. And up until the Renaissance art, it wasn't like that. But now you'll see, and these lines show how you draw perspective. So, your job at the bottom of your paper right now is to draw a picture that shows perspective. Now, the easiest one is obviously always to draw railroad tracks because it goes away. Okay? And when you upload your work to me for this week, I'm going to look for your pictures of perspective. Okay? And if you want to, let's say you take a lot of time, because obviously you can, draw a good one and email it to me. I love to see them with your name, first and last, and period. Some of you keep emailing me things without your names, and I'm trying to figure out who they are. I know your email addresses, but some it's like name. Okay. All right. And if you know people who haven't been keeping in contact, encourage them to keep in contact. Okay. Like I said, you guys have my phone number. You have everything you need to stay in contact. Okay. So you're going to draw the picture of perspective. I think you'll enjoy that. If I was there, I would show you mine, but I'm not, so I can't. Unless you want me to. So I can do a quick one. Do I have any paper here that I can use? Let's see. Oh, I can use an envelope. I'm in my office, obviously. Probably see the Star Wars things behind me. But, so I'm going to quickly draw mine that I like to do. Got my trees going. So let me see if you guys can see that. There you go. There's my perspective. Railroad tracks, trees, and some hills in the background. So simple. And you guys know I can't draw, so that's the best I'm going to do. All right. So your task. Drum roll, please. Oh, I got a drum set. I could actually do it, but I'm too far away. But anyway, your task. I'm going to show you a piece of art. You're going to write down the title of the piece and the artist, if it's available. And then you are going to decide whether the art is from the Middle Ages or the Renaissance. You just write it in there. Okay? Simple. If we were in class, you'd write all this down. Obviously, I know you're looking at it, so we can just do it this way. So, write down what you think the art is from on your paper, and I'll be looking for that. Okay? So, this, like I said, this is a fun lesson, a simple lesson, something enjoyable to kind of see what the Renaissance was about, other than all the other things. Because history is more than just facts and things. It's also people and interaction and understanding. And I hope you're seeing that. So, Pieta by Michelangelo. Oh, beautiful. It's one of my favorite lessons. Just amazing to see this. Obviously, we passed through the time of Easter, so this would be fresh in everyone's mind. By Michelangelo. If you know when Michelangelo was, you'll know what we're talking about. Okay. All right. Lamentation over Christ by Giotto. Back here for a second. Oh, I did have the little thing. Okay. So this would be the Renaissance. This will give you the answer. Lamentation over Christ by Giotto. Probably, yep, you guessed it. This would be medieval. Okay. Crucifix by Cimabue. And this would be, it is medieval. Okay. Adoration of the Magi by Botticelli. You know who I'm talking to, my student who he's Italian. Okay. And this was on an episode of a show on Netflix about art. And the person who painted this, they actually had another copy of this person's work. And it was worth a whole lot of money. So this would be, obviously, the Renaissance. Madonna and Child. And Madonna is actually the name of Mary. Not the singer. She took her name, obviously, from this. This would be the medieval times. Okay. Last Supper, Leonardo da Vinci. This is what it looked like before they restored it. Now it's all pristine and been restored, but this is what it faded and everything. Obviously, Leonardo da Vinci, that would be the Renaissance. Okay. I think this is Cimabue as well. This always reminds me of like Jesus has a deck of cards or something, but anyway, this would obviously be the Middle Ages. Okay. And here you have the Bayou Tapestry, and it has to be, the tapestry, it's got to be the Middle Ages. But for those of you, normally I show some movies to kind of illustrate what we've been learning. One of them was one of my favorites, and there's a something called the Holy Hand Grenade, and this is probably where they got that idea from, because it looks like it. So this would obviously be the Middle Ages. Stained glass windows, Middle Ages. Okay. The painter and the buyer. So you see the detail, the sketch, the beard. Don't laugh, it looks like me without the hair. So this has to be the Renaissance. Okay. There's another Madonna and Child, but this time it's colorful, vibrant. Obviously the Renaissance. Madonna and Child in Majesty by Cimabue. So this would be the Middle Ages again. You can just tell the flatness. Just very interesting. And there's so much more to look at. I encourage you, if you get a chance, to look at the art from the Middle Ages. Be careful with the Renaissance, but definitely the Middle Ages. It's fascinating. Mona Lisa. There you go. You know who did that? Leonardo da Vinci. Okay? So, and you ask yourself, why is this painting so famous and important? What is this all about? And it seems just to be a simple painting, but it's fascinated people for thousands of years, or no, hundreds of years. Thousands. Okay? Conclusion. Number one, Renaissance brought about many changes not only to society but also in art. The focus was on the individual and realism. The ideas would lead to the age of reason and enlightenment, which is our lesson for next week. And it's going to be very enlightening, no pun intended. So, make sure you have this all written down. Make sure you remember, when you focus notes, you write your questions. You have your notes. You have your title. You have your EQ, which I gave you at the beginning. And you have your summary. And then you have interaction with the notes. Like if this was something I was doing, I would circle this. What is the Renaissance? Have a definition. Underline, main focus is realism, and so on. And that's what I'm looking for. Okay? So for you guys to get credit for all the wonderful work you're doing, and you are. You probably got the email about how we're doing grades, so I will be doing that as well. And those of you who've emailed me, you've turned things in, you've told me you've turned things in, you've done everything, you are getting 100% credit. Those of you who have not, it's not going to hurt you, but it'd be very important for you to do it. Okay? So with that, this is Mr. Martinez saying farewell. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Be looking for the new survey that's going to come out. And if you don't have access to the survey, just email me and let me know. Just give me the same information. I'll plug it in myself. But really do try it. It should be working, because I had over almost 70 kids get it done. So, if there's anything, you let me know. You have a wonderful rest of the week, and take care. Strength and honor.